off with three-figure outs. He's not going to carry it on, but Pohl still
53. Could. Sebastian require 170.
We saw some of these last week. We're not going to see one here. We had a great one from Joe Cullen.
58.
Last Saturday.
Danny requires 60.
Well, with the upright angle of entry here, that is now a perfect single. Double 10 for the first leg for a settler.
40. Sebastian, you require 112.
Well, a more manageable three-figure out. But Noppert will return to finally put this leg
56.
to bed.
Danny, you require 20.
Does prefer tops and tens usually. He's going to have to find fives. He's clipping wires.
10 score.
Too much.
Sebastian requires
very similar
56.
start to that of Andy Hamilton earlier when he was playing against Simeon Heinz. Double top to settle Pohl's nerves. He misses too.
Danny, you require 10.
We hope it doesn't continue in this vein.
It looks like a good guide, very inviting.
Game shot in the first leg.
He gets there in the end.
Danny Noppert. Second leg.
He's almost
Sebastian
backed into the same
first.
corner as
Game
Brendan
on.
Dolan earlier, who had an incredible amount of toss to double five and did not win the leg. But if you look at the performances
81.
of Sebastian last night, we've got to give him congratulations for getting through, because that's all he had to do last night. But his best average of the two games he played was just under 82. That was against Danny Tessman. But then didn't have to really perform in his final game, because against Igor Tvorogov, he really was just inching towards the line. I think they were both really nervous to see who was going to get through. It was a big game for both of them, but it was Sebastian's turn. And Igor will come back for another chance, hopefully in 2021.
Yeah, Noppert safely
45.
in the European Championship qualification spots. Has had some success at this event as well in years gone by. A semi-finalist here in 2018, the first of Gerwin Price's victories here. Price, of course, looking for the three-peat this weekend.
100.
Ordinarily, we'd be saying he's defending that money. But that's already come off, because that came off at the end of September. So that's not an issue.
84.
It has been his little warm-up event for the Grand Slam, where he could complete the hat-trick as well, Gerwin Price.
I've got to have Gerwin Price as a huge favourite at this tournament. And I don't mean that disrespectfully to any other player, but Price will come here and feel like he owns this place. And when you have that mentality, you're going to be hard to stop.
138.
That's a great visit from Sebastian.
94.
Forcing Danny to take the 94.
But he might have made his mind up about the route, although he hasn't employed the bull option. Opting to gamble
17.
and then go double-double if required.
Sebastian, you require 40.
Come back to that point in a moment, but Pohl looking for double 10.
30.
Can't find it.
Danny requires 16.
That definitive pause before he throws that dart. He's so pinpoint and deliberate.
Throw first. Game on.
And more often than not, he is deadly accurate.
Yeah, there is a decent debate going on at the moment about going for the ball in those 90-something checkouts, Pohl. Where do you stand on that?
Depends on the position of the opponent and how I'm feeling.
60.
If I'm feeling a little bit nervy, I want to try and guarantee a shot at the bullseye. But if you're feeling supremely confident, you might go for the 54. But for me, it all depends where the
22.
opponent is. If the opponent is outside the finish, you go 54, of course. If they're on a finish of, say, 157, something very, very difficult, I might still go for the 54.
100.
But if they're on 32, for example, I'd go bullseye.
Well, here Pohl was on 40. Does it also depend not where the opponent is, but who the opponent is?
Possibly.
140.
I think you'd have to ask Danny that question. If it was me in that situation today, and I had been playing professional darts this year,
58.
I probably would have gone 25. That's my honest answer. But you see cycles though, don't you? You see the periods where
86.
people would have gone for the 54 because it was the done thing to do, and then everything changed when the bullseye was starting to get used more by the Dutch and some of the North American players. But now we're seeing a trend in the other direction.
Yeah, and I think it's a trend that
100.
Michael van Gerwen, well, perhaps didn't start because other players have done that in the past, but because he always does that and he's been the top player, the others have followed suit.
I think it's very fair to say that Raymond van Barneveld was probably the first person to talk about it, because he said if you can't hit a treble with your first 2 darts on that kind of checkout, then you shouldn't be here anyway. Which I thought was, you know, a very confident thing to say, but at the same time it was a little bit antagonistic, really.
Require 153.
Well, Noppert's in command, as we'd
60.
expected him to be, but
Danny require 43.
there have been chances.
Single 3,
Sebastian
it will
Pohl.
be. Game shot in the third leg. Danny Noppert.
That will make him feel very, very happy.
Sebastian to throw first. Game on.
Because when you put yourself in that position, you want to get rid of it quickly.
100.
This brings to an end the afternoon's action, but we'll be back this evening. And a couple of standout ties, Paul. Max Hopp against Jelle Klaassen being one of them.
Yep, I have to
60.
agree with you there, Murph. I think Hopp versus Klaassen probably steals the show. The Rasma Kai Fan Leung game is intriguing. But the one that I'm really looking forward to watching more than any
100.
other is Jamie Lewis versus Marjanovic, because of the backstory of Jamie Lewis having a bit of a break from the game, just going away and fixing a few things. I'm intrigued to see which
60.
Jamie Lewis turns up tonight against a very dangerous customer in Marjanovic, who will count himself quite lucky to be in the draw because he didn't play particularly well last night.
Yeah, good point.
41.
Will be interesting to see. That is the opening match of the evening session. All kicks off at 7 local time. That's 6 o'clock for viewers in the UK.
There's another match on tonight which is going to be
96.
fascinating for you and Dan to call in, because you've got the tiny dart player in Martin Schindler against the totem pole Titus Karnik. So that's going to be a cameraman's nightmare.
81.
That definitive noise of the dart hitting the sisal.
140.
I would liken it to a lovely drive being hit with a metallic-faced club. Just a beautiful sound.
Yeah, I love when we're doing the Pro Tour darts, when you hear the click of the darts against each other when they've been bunched together so well.
Well, Sebastian has done a fabulous job in this leg of getting himself to a double after 15. He has been here before with 3 darts in hand.
Yeah,
Last time he was not able to do it.
They have looked a little bit nervy when he has got here. Can he get that out of his system?
Game shot in the fourth leg. Sebastian Pohl.
Oh, you can see in his facial expression that he's just glad to get that first leg. Maybe now he can relax a little bit. And we hope for his sake that he can. But one thing that was really interesting last night, Murph, is the fact that
140.
Nico Kurtz, who before this tournament was on £4,000 and just outside the top 32 for the Europeans, he didn't show up last night.
41.
He was scheduled to be in the qualifier and he didn't show. So that is really interesting. I don't know what the backstory is of that. If we need to know, we will find out, but he wasn't there.
81.
And he's a bit of an enigma, is Nico Kurtz, because after that spectacular Ali Pali, he didn't go to Q school. He goes and wins the German Super League, gets himself back in the Worlds.
45.
And with a chance of making the Euros in Germany, he fails to go to the qualifier to try and get himself there.
Yeah, interesting decision. Especially with so many host nation qualifiers being able to come through. We had, obviously, last night, Glenn Durrant's withdrawal from the tournament because of his positive test. We already had Neil Zonneveld informing the PDC of his self-isolation requirements, and prior to that, Kyle Anderson, Peter Wright, Dirk van Dijvenbode and Ryan Murray had all withdrawn from the event.
Yeah, it's sad to see so many great talents who qualified not turning up, of course. And if Kyle Anderson is watching, we hope you're well, bud, all the way over in Australia. And we really want to see you soon. And I'm disappointed not to see Ryan Murray as well, because I really like Ryan. I think he's a great player. Always offers good value when he plays.
23, and you require 80.
Great first start. Just as good on the double. And he raises what Sebastian did in the last leg. Quick smart.
Game on.
Has Sebastian subconsciously got what he came for, do you think? He was a long way behind in that leg, and that's really the first time.
140.
Well, when you get your first leg, you want another one. Just ask Simeon Heinz, who got one leg on his debut and managed to get a couple today.
Yeah, just going back to that withdrawal list, Dirk van Dijvenbode was a precautionary measure, resting an injury or preventing it from getting any worse before the European Championship.
60.
Sometimes that can be smart.
Sometimes not. Is he going to be sharp for Oberhausen? We sincerely hope so, because we want to see that walk on. We want to see him wear some aubergine earrings that Dan Dawson owes him. And we want to see his branded doors because it's exciting.
Yeah, a new star in quick starts emerging in the form of DVD, Dirk van Dijvenbode. There could be a new star at the World Cup in the Dutch team, because Danny Noppert will partner Michael van Gerwen, of course.
58.
I am really intrigued to see how they click. Who's your favourite this year? It's got to be Wales.
That is a question that I will have to ponder between sessions and get back to you, because it is very, very intriguing. I actually think that your old team, Australia, are in the running.
They're not even seeded. And it's Whitlock and Heta. That's frightening.
65.
But they have got the Republic of Ireland first, and they've got Willie O'Connor and Steve Lennon to try and get through. That is, for me, the tie of the first round.
$29.
I do like Hong Kong against China, though. I think that's a fantastic fixture. Right now, Danny wants that 60.
Well, a chance for Pohl to produce something special.
44.
Not quite. Almost got that first 60. But you fancy
59.
Danny's going to be 5-1 up in about 6 seconds
60.
or so.
Game
Maybe
shot,
5 seconds.
leg.
He beat me to the punch.
Seventh leg, Danny to throw
And Danny
first.
doesn't look troubled.
Game on.
And looks very likely to be going through to play Adrian Lewis in a rematch of Hildesheim, which definitely delivered.
Yeah, since losing a leg, Danny Noppert has looked very, very comfortable.
Dan and I were talking earlier about a third dart breakdown of Andy Hamilton. And he was just flinging the last dart.
40.
Well, it's starting to creep into Danny's game as well. I've noticed it over the last 6 months at the Summer and Autumn Series. And his action is changing slightly.
40.
Whether he knows it or not, it definitely is. Through his campaign where he made the Lakeside final, for instance, against Glenn Durrant.
100.
It was that predominant prod forward, then he would throw.
He does get the odd match, Danny Noppert, where all his darts seem to land in completely different angles at different times. I wonder if that's something that he's been trying to address. Did do exactly what you said he has been guilty of there, Paul.
Yeah. There's 3 different darts he throws. One's the predominant prod forward, then throw. He has another one where he doesn't prod and he just positions and throws. Then the third one is he just throws. Right now he's looking for the best possible full stop to the game, and he's going to have a crack at it.
Not far away.
36.
On the green, Pohl, but not in the hole.
It's almost your get in the bull there, wasn't it?
44. Danny, you require 25.
Double 8 again, if he chooses it, which I think he has.
To complete a convincing win. And that's exactly what Danny Noppert does. He moves through to the second round.